Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining this afternoon's Chartered Professional Accountants of Ontario information webinar. My name is Ann Dwyer. I'm a program manager with McMaster Continuing Education. I'm very pleased to co-host today's session and to welcome Robin Clark, student recruiter, and Carmen Jacques, student recruitment manager with the Chartered Professional Accountants of Ontario. Before handing the session over to Robin and Carmen, I do want to encourage those of you who are attending today to connect with CPA Ontario. As program manager of our accounting programs, I've worked with the various professional associations over the years, and CPA Ontario, CPA Canada, very reputable professional associations. If you are pursuing or even thinking of pursuing a CPA designation, it's critical that you start at an early stage in networking opportunities, employment opportunities, and just general connections. So I do encourage you to stay connected with CPA Ontario. This slide provides you with the information and the URL or the avenue to actually register with CPA Ontario for emails, just as a means of communication. So without further delay, I am going to hand things off to Robin and Carmen, because again, today's focus is on CPA and how you can pursue a career and your pathway towards a CPA. Robin, Carmen?
Well, thank you so very much for for the warm welcome. And I want to just say thanks to everyone who is on the call. I'm so happy to be here. We're happy to be here, Carmen and I, just to share with you about how is it that you can become a CPA, how you can get the designation. So I usually, when I'm presenting, I like to start off the presentation with an audio visual that just gives you some sort of insight into what the CPA program is all about. And then I like for the session to be somewhat interactive, where, I say to you, use the chat feature on the Zoom, just for the purposes of interaction. So I'm going to play this video, and what I want for you to say to indicate in the chat is just to say 1, 2, or 3 things that you have learned about the CPA just by watching this 50-second clip. All right. So I'm going to play it now, and I'm going to turn off my camera for the purposes of the presentation. So let us see. I want to see those answers coming into the chat. My focus today will be about, for one, who is a CPA, 2, the benefits of becoming a CPA. Then I look at the CPA preparatory courses. Then I look at the CPA professional education program, and keep those answers coming. I'm seeing them in the chat and the Q&A. I'll speak a little bit about the CPA practical experience requirements, and then your next step. So the first question, of course, is who is a CPA? And I like to describe CPAs as trusted financial experts who are working in banking, they're working in investment, they're working in retail, they're working in manufacturing, they're working in commerce. They are working almost everywhere. And they are described as the backbone of wherever they work. An interesting metaphor is that CPAs are described in the financial world as having a superpower. And by that, I mean they have the unique ability to see things in data, in trends, in numbers that other people can't. So when you are a CPA, you are better positioned to make decisions for your clients, for your customers, for your businesses, for your organization. You're able to solve complex business problems. You're also able to navigate uncertainty for the future. This is the kind of skill set that CPAs have. It's about having strategic vision, creating real value for organizations, economies, and the society. And that's partly why CPAs are so valued in every organization or institution. So if you are in Ontario, and of course you're at McMaster, you are in the right place because you are getting world-class and a globally recognized education. The CPA organization is the premier accounting designation in the world. Becoming a CPA is your key to a prosperous and fulfilling career. I just recently met a CPA, Maxine Duncan. Both of us are Jamaicans. She's a senior manager in the branch administration at Scotiabank. And she expressed the joy she's having in her career because of what the CPA has done for her. Not only has she been able to move up the ranks, but she's able to take on management and leadership roles. Altogether, there are over 200,000 CPA members in Canada and around the world. And many of these members are leaders in Canadian businesses. To give you an idea of the reputation of the designation, about 75% of chief financial officers in Canada are CPAs. And I like to make mention of this statistic because I always say to aspiring CPAs, you can become a part of that 75%. CPA Ontario serves and supports more than 100,000 members, as was mentioned, and over 19,000 students in their qualification and professional development. CPA Ontario is an educator. By that I mean we provide certification, continued training, and learning for the profession. We are a thought leader. By that I mean we develop cutting-edge ideas and thinking that evolve the profession. We're also a provider. We serve our members and students with a commitment to quality and efficient delivery. We are also a regulator, which means that we uphold the public's trust and ensure the integrity of the profession. And finally, we are an advocate. We champion the interests of our business community and beyond. These are the very things you will either become and or emulate with your CPA designation. When you have those three letters, CPA, behind your name, people know that you bring a special kind of skill set that is needed in their business. One of the cool things about being a CPA or having this designation too is that you're going to become part of a community of global business leaders, innovators, and problem solvers. You will also be able to build lifelong relationships with mentors and friends. Listen to this very interesting statistic. Of the top 50 companies in Canada, over 500 CPAs are in senior leadership positions. That's an interesting statistic. How do you get to be a top 50 S&P TSX company in Canada? These are companies that employ those who can make them profitable, competitive, efficient, cost-effective, and attract investors. They employ leaders. This is why CPAs are in key decision-making positions, because CPAs have the technical skills, but they also have the enabling skills or the soft skills or the communication skills. So those are some of the benefits. So let's talk a little bit even more about additional benefits of the CPA designation. The CPA designation is your passport to work anywhere around the world, but more importantly, to enter management and executive positions in any of the global brands right here in Canada. The designation provides you with a toolkit of skills and knowledge that are in high demand. And I challenge anyone just to Google, are CPAs in demand in Canada? And you'll get a resounding yes. Another interesting statistic, 1 in 4 CPAs in Canada originate right here in Ontario, as well as the fact that 75% of chief financial officers in Canada are CPAs. So you could become one of those chief financial officers, as I mentioned before, leading some of Canada's most profitable brands. The CPA designation is one of the world's leading accounting bodies with increasing influence on the international stage. CPA Ontario has reciprocity agreements with accounting bodies in countries such as New Zealand, England and Wales, Ireland, Scotland, Hong Kong, South Africa, and Zimbabwe. CPA Ontario, as an educator, thought leader, and advocate, has influence on the international stage. So you will be getting a world-class Canadian education that is globally recognized. And I think I saw some of that being mentioned. You will be able to stand out as someone who speaks the language of business, knows strategic thinking and problem solving, knows how to make better decisions for clients and customers. In other words, you will have the superpower of speaking the language of business. But there are also other benefits of becoming a CPA. When you have a globally recognized skill set as a decision maker, a leader, a manager, someone who knows the numbers and use those numbers to make strategic decisions, that means that you are indispensable or you are invaluable. The designation gives you the opportunity to choose your industry, your sector, your organization, because it provides you with both the hard and soft skills that employers are seeking. As you can see on screen, you can work anywhere. You can work in sports, you can work in fashion, you can work in entertainment. You can open your own business. So CPAs are able to work anywhere because of the technical and the enabling skills that they have. Another interesting statistic, 1 in 15 CPAs are entrepreneurs, which means that the designation can take you anywhere. And there are other benefits. When you have the CPA designation, you can also function in diverse roles. You can be a chief financial, a chief executive officer, a strategic partner manager, a site controller, a director of IT, a senior forensic accountant. So you're able to function in various diverse roles. And then we have the money issue. Of course, compensation is very important. So when you're pursuing this very rigorous designation, you'll be investing time, money, and energy. In return, companies will pay you for what you do. These are average salaries from our most recent CPA Ontario annual compensation report for 2019. And remember, CPA saturation within these ranks is common. 500 plus Ontario CPAs are in leadership roles in the top 50 S&P TSX companies. This designation sets a clear path to leadership management in Canadian and global businesses. So what are your next steps? How can you become a CPA? But before I get onto that, let's just do a recap of some of the benefits of the CPA designation. So we mentioned 1, that you can work in varied industries and organizations. You can function in diverse roles. There's also very good compensation and benefits. You will also have the ability to network with other CPAs. You will be thought of as an ethical professional. There is also job satisfaction and career development. And as I mentioned, let's now talk about how to become a CPA. We do have persons who are internationally trained accountants. And I'd mention them briefly. And an ITA for short is someone who has successfully completed the education, examination, and experience requirements of a professional accounting body outside Canada and is a member in good standing of that body. And of course, if by chance, if there's any ITA on the call, you visit our website at cpontario.ca/ITA. But if you're not an ITA, we also have a pathway for you. The CPA program is designed to meet the needs of the industry, government, and public practice. The CPA program, your path to becoming a CPA includes the academic prerequisite courses, the degree requirement, the CPA PEP, which means professional education program. We also have the practical experience. And once you have all of those, then you get the designation. So I'm now going to look at them individually. So let's talk now about the academic prerequisite courses. There are 14 of them. And they come under two buckets, non-core courses and core courses. For non-core courses, you need a minimum of 50% in order to get the exemption to advance into the professional education program. For core courses now, you need 60% per course with an overall GPA of 65%, which really means that you can't get 60% in every single course and get the exemption. So these are the preparatory courses. And of course, I'm assuming that you would be pursuing many of these preparatory courses, and you're doing it at McMaster. So let us say now you have your prerequisite courses. What is your next step? Where do you go? Once you have the prerequisite courses, then you're able to advance into the professional education program. The professional education program is made up of 6 modules: Core 1, Core 2, Elective 1, Elective 2, Capstone 1, and Capstone 2. And I like to think about this, I like to use the metaphor of doctors go to med school, lawyers go to law school, CPAs go to PEP, because this is the core of the designation. And if you look carefully, you'll see that the program is for 2 years in length and is done part-time. So the professional education program begins with the core modules that integrate the core competency areas. The core modules provide professional level knowledge of financial reporting and management accounting. Once you have completed the core modules, then you move on to the electives, where you get to choose any 2 out of the 4. The electives allow you to tailor the program to fit your career goals. And any person who intends to become a public accountant must choose taxation, tax and assurance. So if you want to be like a tax advisor or so forth, you have to choose assurance and tax. The professional education program ends with capstones 1 and 2 that are designed to build your leadership and communication skills and prepare you for the common final exam. It's important to note that embedded in the professional education program are 2 types of competencies: technical competencies and enabling competencies. And it is important, these competencies are important because accountants, as traditionally thought of, are no longer in the back room crunching numbers. CPAs now are at the forefront. They're in leadership positions, they're the managers. Many of them have to represent their companies or even have to present to investors. So it's important that CPAs have what are also called enabling competencies. These competencies now are what are needed by many of the employees in public practice, industry, and government. When you have this designation, you will also learn what is called the CPA way. That is the methodical approach for addressing professional problems. Translates into this: you assess the problem, you analyze the problem, you create a solution, and you communicate your suggestions or recommendations. It's a sort of professional journey map that you will be strengthening throughout the CPA program and which will help you to successfully work after the program. So now we turn to the work experience requirements. And I'm going to play a quick video that gives you some amount of insight.
Welcome to an overview of the CPA Practical Experience Requirements, a critical component of the CPA certification program. There are 2 routes to completing the practical experience requirements. The first is through a pre-approved program. Employers offering these programs have had them approved by the profession in advance. These programs have been designed to provide future CPAs all the required experience within 30 months. Employers certify completion at the end of the program. The second is through experience verification. This flexible route allows future CPAs to demonstrate competence and have relevant experience recognized as it is gained at an employer of choice. The supervisor verifies the factual accuracy of the report submitted. Experience can be gained through either route or through a combination of both to achieve a CPA designation. There are 5 common requirements that support both routes. 1. A future CPA must gain relevant and progressive experience and develop as a professional accountant. 2. The experience being gained must be appropriately supervised. 3. At key milestones, the future CPA must submit detailed experience reports. 4. While registered with a provincial or regional body, the future CPA must meet with a CPA-approved mentor at least semi-annually. 5. The experience is assessed by the profession. You can find out more about the CPA practical experience requirements by visiting www.cpacanada.ca/practical experience.
All right, so the important thing to note is that before you can obtain the designation, all aspiring CPAs must have full-time work experience through which they develop their applied, they're demonstrating the technical and enabling competencies at specific proficiency levels. So these are some of the requirements, so a minimum of 30 months of relevant and progressive experience where you must demonstrate the technical enabling competencies and that it must be signed off on by your direct manager, and you will have a CPA Ontario mentor, and at different milestones you will report on your work experience over time. So for most internationally educated professionals, the route that they take in terms of the work experience is what is called the experience verification route, where the student is working in a role that may meet all the practical experience requirements for a minimum of 30 months. The student has a supervisor who is required to confirm the tasks that he or she performs. And the student also has the flexibility to choose his or her own mentor, but the mentor has to be a CPA. And as I mentioned before, at different milestones, you will report to CPA Ontario, your experience over time. The other route is what is called the pre-approved program route, where the student is hired into a formal program that is specifically designed to meet the practical experience requirements in 30 months, and that this program would have been approved by CPA Ontario through a formal agreement. And the student is required to perform certain tasks and demonstrating the technical and enabling competencies. The student also has a mentor who is a CPA and would report to CPA Ontario at different milestones, their work experience. So the work experience comes also with benefits. For the student, it puts your foundational skills and CPA PEP knowledge to use. It also provides you with the platform to develop the CPA profession's values, ethics, and attitudes on the job. But there are also benefits to the employers. They are able to coach and mentor professionals capable of making the right decisions. And they're also training future leaders in-house. So I'm hoping, I'm getting you all excited about doing the CPA program. When you're also a student in the CPA program, we provide you with ongoing support for your career and personal development. For example, we have CPA Ontario Job Board, where we really connect you with Ontario's leading employers seeking future CPAs. We also have our online workshops and webinars where we cover a range of topics that help with your professional development. So once you've made the decision to explore the CPA program, there are 2 steps you need to take. So 1, you need to create an account. Once you have a CPA account, then you're going to log in and click on Start My Journey. Once you do that, then you're going to complete what is called your online transcript assessment form, provide proof of legal name, and pay the transcript assessment fee. And I like to think of 1 to 5, this is where you're engaging with CPA Ontario itself. And then 6 to about 7, now you're engaging with World Education Services. So once you have completed your online transcript assessment application, then now you also need to do what is called a course-by-course evaluation through WES, World Education Services, under the International Credential Advantage Program. Once you do that, WES will send your transcripts as part of their assessment directly to CPA Ontario. When we have both your online transcript assessment application form and your course-by-course evaluation report and authenticated transcripts from WES, then we will provide you with your results within 6 to 8 weeks, and then you'll know about your next steps. So just to make it very clear that in terms of your next steps, 1, the first entity you engage with is CPA Ontario by completing our online transcript assessment application form. And the second entity is World Education Services, where you will request a course-by-course evaluation under ICAP. And once we have both of them, then CPA Ontario in turn will provide you with your results within 6 to 8 weeks about your next steps. And we want for you to stay connected with us. We do have an event on April 11 called Leveling Up for Success. And this is the information. And as was mentioned before, it will be provided in an email after this event. But this event really is just to help you understand some of the employability skills that are being sought after in the marketplace as aspiring CPAs. So I want to thank you so very much for taking the time out to listen to me. And you can stay connected with me via my email or my phone number. You can also stay connected with CPA Ontario on our social media handles, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I want to turn over to you, to our Master of Ceremony.
Great. Thanks so much. I appreciate that, Robin. And
well, I'll just say that thanks very much for being a part of the session. Reach out to us. We're available, and I'll go over to Carmen.
Thank you, Robin, and thank you, Anne. Yes, it was a pleasure really co-hosting this webinar with McMaster Continuing Education. We do appreciate it. To all of you who have joined in and for those who are unable to join in, I do wish you the very best in your careers. We are here to help you out, to support you on your journey to becoming a CPA. So you're just either a phone call away or I would say a phone chat away, whatever medium works. We are here to support you. And the best thing that you can do is please stay connected with the profession. Thank you very much and all the best in your careers. Thank you.
thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
And bye, everyone.
Bye.